Welcome, everyone, to the Sickos Committee podcast. This is our podcast for the evening of January 26, 2025. Y'all, we had something amazing happen in the Eagles-Commanders game. I want to talk NFL. Who's here for NFL talk?
Not me. We are your. I mean, we've got to break the news that the Saints are hiring us as their head coach.
Okay, that is true. Thank God.
I mean, they haven't hired anybody yet, right? They haven't hired anybody yet. So hire us, Saints. Who that?
Who that? Who is that?
Who is that?
Who is that?
Who that say the Sickos my head coach? Who that?
Who is that? Who is the Sickos of the head coach of the Saints? Who is that?
Who are the Sickos?
Who are the Sickos? Who that as the head coach? That'll work because a lot of fans would definitely ask who that.
We had a palpably unfair act threatened. Now, Sickos committee members, do you know what I'm talking about when we talk about a palpably unfair act in football?
Yes.
I have never heard of this.
Okay.
We've talked about this on the show because it happens. It happened during an Alabama Rice game, right?
Extremely rare occasions.
This is meant for when a referee can assign a score to someone without them actually having scored, because whatever the other team did is so unfair that it's the only thing that stopped the score.
This is the I got too much Bama in me thing.
Yes.
The Cotton Bowl that had Rice and Bama.
Yes.
Rice's halfback was headed for the end zone, and an Alabama player came off the bench and tackled him.
Yes.
What if football had goaltending?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially.
So we had a bit of Zeno's paradox going on here. You don't know what Zeno's paradox is?
I also don't know what that is. So,
okay. Zeno's paradox is the idea if, say, for example, I asked you to go halfway to a location, and then another half, and another half, and another half. Would you ever actually get there if you kept taking a half of a half of a half of a half?
Right. That's how you can postpone a game indefinitely, by just committing penalties on every single play.
The palpably unfair act clause says you cannot do that. At some point, the refs can say enough is enough. I will give this score to the other team, so help me God. And this was threatened over the announcements by the ref because the Eagles were trying to do the brotherly shove thing, and the Commanders kept launching and getting offsides penalties, encroachment, like full on just slamming into the other line early. And it's a half of a half of a half of a half. And the ref came out and said, we have reminded the Commanders that if they keep doing this, we can award a point to the other team. And everyone lost their minds because people didn't know this. This exists in the rules of football for this very reason, because of one hack refs don't want you to know that can extend a game forever.
Just don't make dad have to come remind you that you're not allowed to do that. It's not that hard.
Refs hate this one move.
Mm-hmm.
I will turn this ball into a touchdown.
I will turn the link around.
I will turn the link around.
Oh, we're gonna have so much
That's
Eagles.
We're going back to the vet.
This is our Eagles podcast today. I'm so excited.
Apparently.
Go Birds.
Go Birds, apparently.
Oh yeah, we got that movie.
This is hilarious. Like, the fact that they had to come out and yell about this is hilarious. I loved it. Everyone was losing their mind on the timeline because no one knew that this was possible. But it very much is.
So just to clarify, they didn't actually call that ruling. They just came out and said that it was theoretically possible.
Yes.
It sounds like they did like a, hey, knock it off.
Now, is there a specific number of times they have to warn you? No.
Right. That's all up to the ref's discretion. I'm just trying to think of a situation where they're like another officiating situation where there would just be some level of warning that's not like a form. Like, obviously, like you can get like a sideline warning or something, right? That's pretty common, but that's also like a pretty standard thing that everyone knows what it is and when it happens. I'm trying to think of an example where, because like a ref sometimes will like talk to like a player or coach directly.
Exactly.
Like say like, hey, like I'm going to call this if you keep doing that, something like that. Right. like in basketball, like refs sometimes like they will warn players or coaches sometimes before they tee them up. Right? They'll say like you got to knock that off, or I will give you a technical foul. And then if they don't, they give the. But I'm not sure I can think of a situation where something like that would be like on.
Yes.
I mean, outside of something where there's like a legit penalty, but like the system is like you get a warning. Right,
like first technical foul, whatever it is.
Well, yeah, but a technical foul, you still shoot the free throw. I'm like maybe something like I don't know, like a code violation in tennis or something where you like
sideline
it's not.
Warning is a good example of this.
Yeah, like a sideline warning where it's not a penalty the first time, but it's still like a set thing where everyone knows the process is you give the warning, then you go to the actual penalty.
What about when they warn the crowd, like, hey, stop throwing snowballs onto your field?
That's an example.
Hey, Cal students, don't make Justin Wilcox come talk to you again. Like, you're throwing all these cards on the field. You're going to make us lose the game.
I've been thinking about that the whole time. Like, I did not watch any of the Eagles game, so I'm just imagining this ref over the PA with the same, like, frustrated dad tone that Justin Wilcox had during that Cal game. Like, God damn it, guys, knock it the fuck off. I just want to go to bed.
Like, here are real consequences, children. I will give those points to that other team. If you so much.
That's it. We're going back to Winnipeg.
This was great. I loved it. Folks, as always, I am Jordan. With me tonight, I have Commish.
I guess it's like a balk, like in baseball. Like, because you know how a balk, it's like kind of, it's not like super set in stone. Like, this is what a balk is.
No, yes, it is. It's very set in stone what a balk is.
It's like targeting, right?
There's like 14 things that can be a balk, yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's sort of like a, I don't know. That's what I was thinking.
Gotcha. And Arthur on the ones and twos. Pitt Girl, how are you?
It's Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Commish, it is Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
What did you do today?
I went to Monster Jam with my kiddo.
Carson Teaff.
That's right. Sunday. Just $5. I wish. It is so expensive.
There's no
No, we went to Monster Jam. This is kind of like, I guess they come around this time every single year to San Antonio. So we went to the Alamo Dome. This year I got the pit pass or whatever.
Ooh.
So
Hail
before
to pit pass.
Yeah, hail to pit pass for Monster Jam. You basically go onto the Monster Jam field. I don't know, it's just dirt. Like down on the floor of the stadium, and there's like all the monster trucks parked there. You can take pictures next to them, get autographs from your favorite drivers. My kiddo, this is a Gravedigger household, but we also stand El Toro Loco too. So, like, I mean, we go to those first. We were enjoying the, there was a couple of other ones. There was one where it was like a Classroom Crusher, which was like a school bus.
Oh.
And then you were allowed to have your like kid go up and write their name on chalk on the back of the monster truck. Like there's the back is like a blackboard, and so my kiddo basically wrote his name on the monster truck. I was like, that's cool, that's awesome. There's a lot of trucks with teeth. There was Zombie, which Zombie has like arms, like and so like when the driver's like, here's Zombie, and then they play Thriller by Michael Jackson, and then the whole crowd just starts going like this, like the zombie arms.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that.
So they actually like are able to license Thriller? That's impressive.
Monster Jam is kind of a big deal apparently, which is cool. There's I mean, and then you have like the trucks that are like not like the main ones, but like the other ones that are there. The other like
the undercard trucks.
The undercard trucks, they're there, to take up the 12 spots, but like they are the
side trucks.
Yeah, I would say that, but like they're the ones that they kind of look like normal trucks. They don't have like really elaborate designs.
Okay.
Like they have some. There was one where it was just called Axe, and it's like an old school looking fire truck. That's a
No.
monster truck. And it had like the thin red line flag on top. Like I was like, okay.
I mean, if
I
you're
mean,
gonna do that, there's a reason why nobody ever wrote a song called "Fuck the Fire Department."
That is true, and shout out to them putting out those fires out in California, whatsoever. So yes, we were all about Axe. There was another one was like Vendetta. I was like, it's V for Vendetta, but it was red. It wasn't purple.
I have an important question about Axe.
Yes.
Did Axe smell like a locker room full of middle school boys?
It did not. It was just like an old school.
Or it just sprays out.
Yep. Yeah. You just like tape the thing down and chuck that out. Like it's just there. You got Axe grenades everywhere.
Like all like the supporting cast of the monster trucks that were there were all like banged up from last night's show. And they kept mentioning on the broadcast internally on like the PA, they were just like, yeah, this track is like really slippery. This dirt is like not good, and it's like they're struggling, and I mean there was so much carnage. Dude, like Gravedigger did his last like freestyle, and it was just the cage. It was just a roll cage. There was nothing left. Like it was such an incredible show. It was a lot of fun. My kiddo loved it. We got to do all that stuff. That's all that. But I'm like wired from that right now, which is it's incredible. One car caught on fire. This like a big pillow of smoke. It was called Mayhem, and I'm like, it's
yours.
It's not from the Allstate insurance commercial.
Are we sure? Because that does sound like something Mayhem would do.
What's the insurance like for a monster truck?
I have no idea. There was one that did the flip, and as soon as it landed, the entire back axle just broke. like the whole, it just went off.
Telling me on this all of a sudden.
It was just done. I was like, you gotta, like, he hit the flip. I was like, yeah. And then as soon as he lands, he was a little awkward. So it was like one side. It was just kind of like, they couldn't even tow it off. They had to push it to the side. They couldn't even like tow it. It was so rad.
God, it's like me. It's like me when I hurt my back.
Like this wheelbarrow off to the side. They're like, no, we can't tow it. The axle is so like broken from the frame. I think that it was Avenger was that name, but it was great.
Well, Commish, you and I, we had a date, and it was delightful.
We did.
Commish and I got to hang out this week, which isn't something we usually get to do because we live hundreds of miles apart. Yeah. But we both drove hundreds of miles.
We did.
To go to Houston, sit in a fancy hotel.
We did.
A very normal place for the Sickos Committee to be.
Yeah.
We were in a room called the library.
Mm-hmm.
It overlooked the pool and the lobby at this fancy hotel. But Commish, why were we there?
No, we just wanted to go hang out there.
Wait, were there books? Like, was it an actual library, or was it
actually books inside? Yes.
I do like books. I do like a library that actually has books in it.
There were books inside the library. It was.
To talk about how fancy the hotel was, there was an exotic car dealership in the hotel.
Yeah.
So as you walk up the stairs, it was like Rolls Royces on either side of the staircase.
I am so glad that you guys went to this and not me, because I would have burst into flames upon seeing the exotic car dealership inside the hotel.
Could you drive the cars up the staircases like in the movie Action Jackson?
Oh, see, I was picturing like the cart escalator at Target, but for cars.
No, I'm thinking like Action Jackson. Like he does, like he drives up the stairs, like drives down the hallway, negotiates a turn, like to save someone. That's great. Great movie, Action Jackson.
Well, honestly, I didn't know how they loaded them in there. There had to be some sort of like freight elevator because they were on the second floor too.
They were on the second floor too.
Yes.
The best part about this was
I think Carl Weathers got them all up there before he passed away, sadly, last year.
After I got there and parked and was going to go meet Commish, I saw a bunch of people, like everyone else was dressed kind of nice, but there were some people just slumming it in Cleveland Cavaliers gear, like wearing just shorts and jerseys and like like had just bags of like clothes with them. It was really weird. I was like, "What the fuck are these people?"
Those were
And
the
then-
Cleveland Cavaliers,
Those
weren't
were
they?
Cleveland
They were.
Cavaliers.
Yeah. I turned the corner. I turned the corner when I went up and I met up with Paul, which is kind of funny. His name is Paul, and we were at the Bear Bryant Awards
Hmm.
in Houston at the fabulous 5-star Post
Oak.
Oak Hotel in
Uptown.
Houston, which is like incredible. But I turned the corner. I'm walking with Paul. He's taking me because I got there a little bit before Jordan, and he's taking me to the room. And I turned the corner. I'm like, is that Tristan Thompson? And I was like, okay, like what is he doing here? And like, I mean, he had a Cavs hoodie. I'm like, is he on the Cavs now still? And then I turned the corner. I'm like, holy shit, that's Donovan Mitchell. And I was like, that's Jared Allen. And I'm like, the Cavs are here, and they're getting like breakfast right on the other side of where we're supposed to be interviewing coaches.
Yeah, in retrospect, they're very tall, so I should have guessed this was a basketball team.
Yeah,
They're very tall.
very tall.
Probably like the least conspicuous group of people
Oh, not at oh
possible.
no, absolutely least conspicuous group of people
I was
possible.
like, I'm walking and I'm like, oh my god, that's Donovan Mitchell, and he's got on like these incredibly bright orange like sneakers, and I'm like, oh dude, this is incredible. And I'm like, okay. And then Paul's like, oh yeah, this is the media for these coaches you're about to interview that are up for the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year award. I'm like, so it was just nothing but double takes and screaming on the inside the entire day. Like, oh my god, this is really happening.
So Commish and I were invited by our good friend Paul to go to the American Heart Association's Bear Bryant Awards. American Heart Association sponsors it.
Yeah.
And we get to do a little media 5-minute, 10-minute little chat with a lot of the coaches that were nominated, which is wild. I want to say that when we first got this, we were like, how are we even, like, in what world is this something that we can do?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Are we
came-
are we allowed to do this? This
Yeah.
feels like a thing for real adults, which
It
we are
felt like-
not.
it felt like it was illegal that the Sickos committee was here, and we're on like this. It's not like Radio Row, but it's kind of like it. It's just like, here's the press that is at this event, and we were a part of the press at this event, which is weird.
I'm imagining the like press gallery, insofar as there was one there, as the meme with the dragon heads.
Yes.
And
yeah,
like there's like it's a hydra. There's a million scary dragon heads
Mhm.
and us.
There's
Mhm.
like there's Dusty Dvorak with Sirius XM Radio. He has his own room, like with chairs that people sit there. Then there's a normal media room where they have the coaches in front of the background. Then there's like the local AM radio. Then there's like another outlet, and then we're like on the other side in the library, like right by the pool area. Like we're kind of separated from them, but like we're there in the area. And it's just, but we have like the AM radio people are out in the open. The other place is out in the open. The media room is the media room, and the XM radio is XM radio. We are the only other ones that have like a private area
it was
to
delightful.
ourselves. Yes, they quarantine the Sickos by
Yeah,
the pool.
they know they got to keep us away from the normies.
We got to talk to Syracuse's Fran Brown, Army's Jeff Monken, Indiana's Curt Cignetti, South Carolina's Shane Beamer, Arizona State's Kenny Dillingham, SMU's Rhett Lashlee, and Boise State's Spencer Danielson. And listeners, what we're going to do is I'm going to have a couple of clips of our stuff right now, and we'll have some more for later on in other podcasts. But I'm going to release the full recordings on Patreon because they're a lot of fun. There's some fun stuff in there. If you want to hear the whole conversation with me, Commish, and these coaches, I want to open this discussion with, well, actually, let's do it this way first. Commish, were Fran Brown's eyes did they draw you in?
Look, man.
Yeah.
Fran Brown.
Tell me about his eyes.
Fran Brown just like stared through me. Like I just
He saw my soul. It
it's
was
just like my inner thoughts and my questions. I doubted my humanity. I doubted my inner self. My like, what am I like? I mean, just incredible eyes that just I felt like nothing and everything at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. He's awesome.
We lost him. Or lost me. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, my computer just went weird. Okay,
Oh,
we're
okay.
fine. So I do have a bit of a clip. This is Fran Brown talking to us. This is about the winners get washed thing.
Yeah. I'm like, just playing ball. I think that every coach, I'm just probably the first person to say it, that after you lose, you're just upset.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there and you're upset, and all you want to do is just watch tape and do those things. So when it become that night after the game, and I think most people do it too, right? How many of us don't shower after the game? It's not like I'm the one that's sweating. So it went from, we got our butts kicked by a team, and I was just like disappointed. And they just asked me like, what do you do after the loss? What happens? And I just kind of explained that day. I was like, I brushed my teeth. I just didn't wash till Sunday. And it was kind of like I waited. Like I was just like, you know what? Let me drain it out. Once you watch the tape, now you know what you got to fix.
So I don't know if I agree with his lack of shower after things. I like a good shame shower personally.
Respectfully, Coach Brown, I see the coach logic here, and I like how he's like, we've all felt this way, sir. Coaches have felt this way. I don't know that I have ever personally felt this way, but I don't have that dog in me, and that's okay.
It's kind of funny. I feel like I'm the opposite. Like my team loses, like I gotta watch the loss off.
Yes.
But I want to say it was when Clint Hurdle was the head coach of the Pirates. He had a quote that like local media loved, where about like showering, but it was like about after a loss, right? Like you gotta shower well so that you then like wash the loss away, move on to the next game. So I think it's interesting that a coach is the opposite, because I've heard it the other way too.
We also got to tell Fran Brown that he was our coach of the year. He knew about us, by the way. He had stickers. There's a sticker on his iPod case now, one of our stickers.
Hell yeah. Senpai Fran Brown noticed us.
Yeah,
very much did. And got business cards from Syracuse. Open invitation for us to head up there.
Yeah, I mean, again,
lots of places actually.
We got to talk to him about like, safe, reliable Honda McCord, their awesome running back LaQuint Allen. We talked a bunch of things, and I'm like, I think we got to get him a trophy now.
I think, yeah. He said he'd put it up, so if we send him one.
Okay, if we send him
Can
a
we
trophy.
send him a tungsten cube?
Oh, yeah, you know what?
Sickos Committee Coach of the Year tungsten cube.
I like
Please,
it. I actually
please.
really do like it. Yeah, I really do like it. I do like it. Yeah. Now, it was funny because Fran Brown a bit ambushed us. We weren't quite ready for him yet. We had people in our mouths.
No, so like they were like, okay. He wasn't even the first person we're supposed to interview.
He was just there early, trying to make it around.
He was early, and he was like, he just got it, and I'm like, oh, okay. He was like 25 minutes before we even supposed to start. So it was like, oh, I'm like, Fran Brown is here. I'm like, okay, he's all right. So
that's
like,
a football coach.
That is the coach. If you're if you're on time, you're late. So yeah, it was. I'm glad we got him first, I guess, because that he knew of us. The Syracuse person with him knew of us. They love our support of Syracuse.
Let's put it this way: the handlers knew who we were.
Yes,
all of the handlers. They knew them, and most of them had prepped their coaches, to at least understand who we were, and that's great. Now, do you know who had no handlers and did not know who we were? Jeff Monken. Jeff Monken comes in. He has no handlers. He's on his own time schedule, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And we got to talk to him. One of the big questions we wanted to ask him, I'll put the answer later on. I don't have it with me right now. Didn't clip that one because it was a little long. But basically, he's from Indiana, and his first gig was in Hawaii as a GA. And ever since that point, he got wrapped up. He was a GA in Hawaii when Ken Niumatalolo was playing quarterback for Hawaii, and was also there at the same time as Paul Johnson.
Yeah.
OC, which is how he got caught into the triple option world.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's a good story. I'll post that story later on.
Yeah, he was a D3 wide receiver at Milliken Big Blue in Decatur, Illinois. And then we're like, his first job was a GA at Hawaii right after he graduated. So we were just like, how the hell did you wind up in Hawaii? And that was a fantastic story. I think Jordan started as like, hey, we love small team football. And, he was like, I'm North Texas. And then he went to ULM. And then, of course, Jeff Monken, remarked that it was his worst loss, one of his worst losses in the career. I'm like, oh God, this is not how it's supposed to start. I wanted to tell him.
He was so done with that ULM loss.
He was still mad. I'm like, it was 5 turnovers, probably killing him to this day. I wanted to reply back, but I was not fast enough. I wanted to tell him, well, another awesome coach that won this award and lost to ULM. That's Nick Saban.
That's true.
But I put that in the Substack. I wrote about that, so we're good there.
I love that Jeff Monken is his own man. Like, he's just showing up, doesn't have handlers, making an own schedule. It's a vibe. I really respect it. Also, Jeff Monken, we are not a thing Jeff Monken needs to know about. No. He's beyond us.
Beyond us. We're good.
That was the same thing with Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti had no clue who we were.
No.
That's totally fine.
His handler...
Did you tell him to Google us?
Oh, no, I did not do that. No.
God, it was so good.
No, I was kind of taken
so good.
by Curt Cignetti's handler when she went, oh, I know who you are. And I was like, oh God.
Yeah, it was one of those.
I was immediately like, oh, this is a bad thing.
It turned out great. Apparently, you asked us some questions for him. He does not have a favorite sheets order.
Winky face.
Winky face. He told something off the record.
Okay.
Off the record. We have off the record stuff on Curt Cignetti.
That's fucking hilarious. Also, he said both the places that Beth asked for, both those restaurants, he likes both of them.
Yes.
Oh.
He's a fan of both.
Yes. But totally nice dude. He was super intense about it.
Yeah.
He's a super intense dude, and his was just like, we just win. That's what we do. We're not here to be, pretty good. We're here to win, and we keep winning. It was great.
I wanted to make a reference he probably wouldn't have gotten, but he reminded me of, because everywhere he's gone, he's had to do the immediate turnaround. This place is down. Like he went to, IUP. It was down, which is Indiana, Pennsylvania. And then, he went to Elon, the Phoenix. It was down. He turned it around. Then he went to, James Madison. It was down, turned it around. Then he went to Indiana, down, and turned it around. And I'm like, it reminded me, I was like, it's just kind of like I don't know if he just likes taking programs and turns them into little fixer-uppers. But it seems to be that's his thing. He has the same staff with him, and they just all go.
Is this a she's all that moment?
It feels like it's.
No,
I was kind of gonna make a Chip and Joanne reference.
Well, so the thing about them is there is no demo day here, because some of these coaches, like Matt Rule, when you get Matt Rule to your program, it's going to take a while.
Yeah, you gotta dig deeper before you can start coming back up. Sometimes,
right? Yes. And Curt Cignetti seems to be allergic to this.
Yes,
and just hate losing. One of those coaches that hates losing with so much pure passion that it's just not a consideration.
So basically, he's just taking the glasses off of all of these programs, and now they're hot.
Yes.
Okay.
It's hot in Indiana.
I see. I'm just thinking about I have no idea if Curt Cignetti gives a single fuck about the Philadelphia 76ers, right? He probably doesn't. No. But also, looking at his coaching history, think about how much he must have hated the process.
Yeah.
How much he would have hated the process.
The idea of tanking on purpose is so antithetical to most of these people's brains.
No way in hell they could have did that. But it's basically he just took the glasses off of Indiana, undid the ponytail, and they're a playoff team.
Got their frizzy curly hair flat ironed.
Totally done.
We need to talk about Shane Beamer's response to 0-0. If you don't know, Shane Beamer was on his dad's.
He was assistant head coach at Virginia Tech on his dad's staff with the infamous Virginia Tech Wake Forest 0-0 fist pump gif, everything you want.
Thank you for asking him about this.
Look.
Here we go.
If I'm the commish, I'm gonna do it.
Here we go.
I have to ask. We're the Sickles committee. We love weird games.
Yeah.
You are the assistant coach for the Virginia Tech Wake Forest, 0-0. Infamous, celebration
Yep.
with your dad and the fist pump. Like, do you ever go back over that game?
No.
At all?
No.
Blinded from memory.
I've tried to forget about it, except every time there's ever a 0-0 or low scoring game somewhere on social media, that's going to show up and you're going to see him that with his arms in the air. So I can't get away from it.
Okay.
It was painful to be a part of because it's one of those like, God Almighty, like, is anybody going to score today? So yeah, I don't think about it at all, but I can't escape it.
It's beautiful.
Everywhere I go, I see his face.
Everywhere I go, I see 0-0. It's like on the Spider-Man meme.
I can see Shane Bieber is a really funny guy, and I've heard this before, but he's a very personal, funny dude, and I appreciate that he can look at this and laugh. He also knew about us. He knew of us. His staff knows of us.
The staff that was with him, like, is like, hey, I credentialed you for the Alamo Bowl last year. And I was like, what? Like, you're the one that let me in? And so I was like, he knew us. His staff knew us. And I was just like, what?
It's wild.
What have we created?
We've been doing this long enough now where the people that came up on listening to us now are getting better jobs. Think about that real fast. Because all the people that listen to us in their first jobs are now getting second and third jobs.
This is like all the assistant coaches that have followed us are starting to get head coaching jobs. We're in the walls, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus,
this is again. I mean, we keep plugging away and doing this, and we look back at it. We're over like 200 some odd episodes of this podcast, and I don't even know how many like tweets and skeets we have.
There's so many hours of us saying the stupidest shit imaginable.
Yes. And thank y'all for listening.
Yes. But thank you, listeners. We love you.
Well, another dude that was young and ready, had us sort of ready to run through walls for him, at least for me. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, because he's 34. He's a real young dude.
He started coaching at 17. I was like, so he was injured his senior year, and like he was just done playing, and then he just immediately coached. Like through his injury, he's coaching. So now he's 34. He's basically coached half his life. It 17 to 34. Yeah, half of his life he's been coaching, which is incredible. And
so you're telling me like 10, 15 years from now, Grayson McCall is going to be the next Kenny Dillingham?
Possibly.
Done. Sold.
I mean,
sold.
Consider Coastal Carolina.
We even dropped the consider Arizona State line, and he laughed at it. We had to. We appreciated like Cam Scatterboo. There was one point where I was just trying to talk about his turnaround, and I did not have a question. I were just like, dude, this is amazing, Kenny. You're amazing. Like, Kenny, I can't believe you did this. Like, this, you picked last, and I'm just like, I have no question. Awesome job, Kenny. That's all I had to say. That's nothing.
It was no question. I was
like, I don't have a question.
4 minutes of him just going, Commish just going, you're fucking amazing. I love you.
Kenny.
Kenny Dillingham, do you know how cool you are? If you don't, I'm going to tell you.
I will tell you. I'm going to preface it that I'm going to ask you a question, but I turn out I don't. It was nuts. And also, I love that he was recruiting Jordan at the end, and he was like.
Let's talk about this, because it starts with me asking, how do you get people to go to Tempe? Because Tempe, one of my favorite King of the Hill jokes about the Phoenix area is it is a hubris. It was a monument to man's hubris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel. Here's what he said.
How tough is it to convince people to go to the middle of the desert to play football?
Have you ever been to Tempe, Arizona?
No, I'm from South Texas. I understand heat, but not that.
You need to go to Tempe, Arizona.
Okay.
And that'll answer your question.
Okay.
It is paradise. People retire there. So 20 minutes south of us is just filled with retired NFL players, basketball players, MLB players.
Yeah.
In Chandler, Arizona. You have 3 months, 3.5, 4 months of heat. Other than that, you're living in paradise. There's no natural disasters.
There was a haboob one year.
There was a haboob.
I remember that.
That's
I couldn't stay up for that.
But
game.
it is paradise. It's absolute.
Okay.
Everybody thinks it's the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
You're in one of the top 10 largest cities in the country. Right there. And the weather that you dream of is from September to April. Okay. And then you got to stay inside for a few months.
I don't know if I buy that. But by the end, he's like, you got to come. You got to come to Tempe.
I respect the sales pitch.
Yeah.
I do.
You got to have something, right?
He was recruiting.
Also, we got to talk to Rhett Lashlee from SMU. That was for me a big, like, I started like being like, I just had so, you guys are great. I love you so much because I've watched so much SMU football this year.
I like how you started a little bit of a turf war because you're like, well, I went to North Texas, and then it kind of like y'all were like fighting for Dallas Fort Worth area, and he was like, it got a little tense. It got a little tense.
Like, we support the teams that are up in Denton and over in Fort Worth. But
the suburbs of Dallas.
Dallas.
Damn. And then he wanted to argue with me about the poll. And I was caught off guard that he knew about our poll. And SMU being ranked 21st. And I was like, he's like,
did he want to be ranked? How? What was his critique of the poll?
So he was like, well, why were we ranked here? What were you? I was like, I don't want to get in the mind in our voters, and everything like that. And it caught me off guard in the beginning. Towards the end, I realized I was like, well, I finally like caught myself because Coach Rhett, Lashlee caught me off guard, like asking us about our poll, and I'm like, and so I was like, well, again, being sickos is not necessarily a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, first year in the ACC, you're unexpected playoff run, mm-hmm. ACC championship game, a lot of fun football you're playing, just wild, entertaining football, and it's there. And he's like, okay, cool. And he was like, well, I guess we'll leave number 1 to Florida State. And I was like, or Iowa, so that was
correct answer.
Correct answer, Coach.
And then, of course, we got to talk to Spencer Danielson, and we talked so much about, of course, Ash and JT and what it's like to have to basically have teams entirely game plan against.
Yes.
And he made a very good point that, like, just like we saw it, they saw it too, that there was a point this season, that first UNLV game when they were just like, we're just going to put everyone in the box and hope that stops it. And UNLV we had some success that first time, less so the second time.
Yeah.
But it was a great conversation to have. He got to, man, those Boise State folks were that Boise State orange and blue fucking everywhere.
Yeah, man. They're a Bronco Nation.
On brand, on time. But great times. Thank you so much to the American Heart Association for the great work they do. Thank you, Paul, for getting us out there. That was a blast. We got invited back, so I guess we didn't shit ourselves too badly.
To get the return invite, he's like, it's the same time every year, like 2 days after the championship game. The only person that we didn't get to interview was Marcus Freeman, who did show, but he was like late due to the snow in Houston, I guess, and also the national championship game was just 2 days.
2 days earlier, yeah.
2 days earlier, which I'm surprised he made it. He did make it, and he won the award. Did we jinx the rest of the candidates by speaking to them?
Maybe.
Okay, but Fran already won the award, so
Fran won the
Newcomer of the Year award. Yeah.
So maybe not.
Yeah.
Commish, they did honor someone else. It was Grant Teaff.
No, Grant Teaff.
Grant Teaff, thank you.
Yes.
From Baylor.
Yeah. And they also gave Mark Richt an award too.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Commish, we were sitting around and you found this story about Grant Teaff that you need to talk about.
Yeah. So he got a lifetime.
This is a fucking ride, Rolf. This is a ride.
All right. So he got the Lifetime Achievement Award as a Baylor coach, and he's the winningest coach in Baylor history, which, I mean, 128 some odd wins at Baylor, I think.
A lot. He was there for like 20 years. It was a lot.
Yeah, like 70 something to 90 something. He was there. So in 1978, Coach Teaff led his team to another unforgettable win. His 2-8 Baylor Bears were set to play number 9 ranked Texas. Many of the Bears were injured, and they were expected to lose. To compensate for the loss of healthy players, Teaff introduced what is known as the Wildcat formation. So basically, he created.
It's wild that Baylor, the place that was famous for that bowl game very recently, last decade, where they had to trot out everyone because they were out of quarterbacks.
Yes.
Also invented the Wildcat formation.
That is interesting. I would not have guessed that Baylor invented the Wildcat. No. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. So to motivate his team, Teaff told them the story of 2 fishing Eskimos. One was an excellent fisherman, reeling in one catch after another, while the other couldn't land a single fish. The frustrated Eskimo asked his companion for the secret to successful fishing. His friend replied by pulling a worm out of his mouth, saying, "You've got to keep the worms warm." So with this
football,
do they not have pockets?
Again, this is the story. So with this story, the coach let his team know that winning may cause momentary discomfort, but if they were able to put that aside for 60 minutes, the end result would be worth it. Teaff then told his team, "This game is yours," and pulled a worm out of his mouth.
I respect the commitment to the bit.
That's right. I was trying to see if we had gummy worms because I was about to do that myself on the podcast. But the Baylor Bears went on to win the game 38-14, defeating number 9 Texas, finishing 3-8 that season. He remained the head coach of Baylor until 92, compiling a winning record and winning the Southwest Conference title for the last time in 1980. So he won it twice, which is incredible. Made 2 Cotton Bowls for Baylor, which is back in those days is phenomenal. And congrats on the Lifetime Achievement Award.
We have some branding news, which is my favorite thing.
Oh, you love branding news.
Joaquin Ruiz on Twitter posted a picture from Cal. It is a shirt that says Cal on top and UC Berkeley on the same shirt. Now, listeners, if you don't know, for the longest time, Cal athletics branding and Berkeley branding were 2 very different things. If the term Cal literally only applies to the athletics.
Yes.
No one refers to the university as Cal. It is UC Berkeley. It is Cal Berkeley. You never even hear it referred to as the University of California. It is UC Berkeley or Cal Berkeley. Berkeley with a Y, not Berkeley with an E. That's the School of Music. That used to confuse me. So, but now they're trying to unify brands. This is in the last year or so.
Brand synergy.
And they made a good point. We should have a place where people know that all of these Olympians and great athletes are the same place as our Nobel Prize winners. We should probably make a connection between those 2.
I mean, Duke has been doing this for how long? And Stanford and everybody else? There are a lot of good schools that are good at sports, Cal. It's okay.
I know that Duke, for example, for a while, Duke wouldn't even give their football team the same logo as the basketball team. So it's better now. Arthur?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Cal, you know the phrase, right? Athletics is the front porch of a university. Cal might be, in terms of power conference schools, they're the school where that's least the case.
It's the caboose.
There are definitely people within Cal that are embarrassed that Cal has sports at all, right? It's not. It's
there are people within UC Berkeley who are embarrassed.
There are people in UC Berkeley that are yes. So, I guarantee people are going to be upset any way you slice that. It's not something that people agree on, and hey, I mean, I don't know. I can't really, I don't know what makes sense for them or not,
Someone pointed out that of the 4 power schools in California, the 2 public schools have beautiful script and the 2 private schools have block letters. Yeah, didn't realize that. this is just funny to me because I love branding shit, and Berkeley has one of the most bizarre branding setups because you have so many schools trying to lean towards their athletics branding or use it entirely. And then you have this where we don't even call the school the same thing. There are people in our comments who learned for the first time that UC Berkeley and Cal were the same school. And that's not to make fun of them. That's me and you're one of today's 30,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken my mom to multiple Cal athletic events in the past year because they've been playing in Pittsburgh for some reason, and every time she just calls them UC Berkeley. I hear like talking to her friends like, oh, I'm going to the UC Berkeley's coming to Pittsburgh for their football game. I'm going to the UC Berkeley game,
Right.
and that's just what she calls it, and that's probably a lot of people where that's just what they're going to call it, even when they go to a sporting event.
That's what you call them.
That is, talk to any especially on the academic side, and it's just UC Berkeley.
Yeah, I mean, and like UCLA has something not completely on the same lines because everyone is okay with being called UCLA, but like their logos are completely different.
I have so much problem. I've done this before. I'm not going to yell about it again on the podcast, but the UCLA academic logo is basically in a version of a Helvetica. It's just that. It's like white on blue. It's awful.
Ew.
And then they have
the branding. It's the same letters, but it's it's completely different.
Hold up, I gotta show you now.
Oh yeah.
I got it.
I'm just imagining an alternate universe in which we call UCLA something like Cal Los Angeles.
Oh, see, wouldn't they lose their minds? Like that right there would absolutely kill those people because they hate that. They already hate the idea that school up north is even. Pitt Girl, I'm dropping it in the chat. This is the UCLA.
Oh God! Why does it look like Supreme?
It does.
Or like the fucking Obey thing that was around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, Supreme might have been what they were going for, honestly.
It very much might have been, actually. It is awful. Also, you're never supposed to use, this is a no-no, using blue against gold. Like, that's an absolute no-no you're not allowed to do. This is awful. UCLA bugs me about this too, but at least like Arthur said, they can both agree that they're both UCLA. Other news. We have found out something we already knew in our hearts. That the elite non-college football playoff bowls are the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and the Gator Bowl. This is according to Bill Belichick's contract.
That's right. Elite.
This is Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl erasure.
I will say this is just for like ACC related bowl games.
Yes,
so there's a reason. There's other stuff.
No Black, no Rely Quest, no whatever. Those aren't ACC bowl games. Yes,
but the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl is.
I think that should be considered to be an elite bowl too. But I think most ACC people would disagree with that heavily.
I mean, looking at the tie-ins the ACC has, the biggest notable omission for me is the Holiday Bowl, which I think is still somewhat of a big get. At least in terms of who they get from the ACC.
Yeah.
That's typically a pretty good ACC team. But and honestly, I'm a little surprised that the Duke's Mayo Bowl is up there. I think that might just be because of like the geography, like North Carolina. It's like, well, that game's close. We'll save on travel. You can get some of that money.
But these are schools in which Bill Belichick gets an extra $200,000 for these games. It's $150 if you make any bowl game, $350 for one of the non-college football playoff tier 1/elite bowl games defined as Pop-Tarts Bowl, Gator Bowl, or Mayo Bowl.
Sure.
That makes me so happy. This feels like such a coup for Duke's Mayo, like Arthur said. Like that bowl, which the Belk Bowl was always fine.
Yeah.
But we have elevated it into
we've done it.
Tier 1. This used to be, I remember it was the Florida contract or something, or it was an SEC contract that had like the New Year's Six Bowl. And then the only bowl that was like the next level down for them was the Citrus Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, that's like supposed to be the most prestigious game outside of the New Year's Six. And
then you have like the Outback and those guys down.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some food crimes?
I suppose we must.
We must.
We've
But
talked about
But
on
I
this
must.
We've talked about on this podcast lately about Skyline Chili and how we like it juicy.
I mean, this is like 3 in a row for Skyline here. It's a 3-way.
It is. And they released, along with Grater, Graeter, I think that's how it's pronounced.
I'm going to assume Graters.
Graters.
Yeah.
It's an ice cream place in the Cincinnati area. And they released a Skyline Spice ice cream with oyster crackers inside of it.
You know, I don't hate this. It's probably pretty good.
Mike Golick Jr., in a video that absolutely did not look like a hostage video, said that he really enjoyed it.
I mean, the whole thing with Skyline is that the spices are like weird for meat because they have cinnamon and stuff in them. And that sounds very nice with ice cream. And like, what is an oyster cracker if not an underbaked pretzel?
Like a little salt? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I've had savory ice cream before. Like,
oh yeah,
it's good. You could it can be really good. It doesn't. It just because it's a flavor that you wouldn't necessarily expect as like ice cream, because ice cream is so coded as being dessert, and
yes,
you know,
I have a question now. Hey, Commish, have you ever had savory ice cream?
I feel like yes.
Probably, yeah.
I'm racking my brain right now, and I can't. I'm sure I've had savory ice cream. Look, man, New Orleans, they make things, and there's like famous creameries in New Orleans that make various types of ice creams. Of course, they make awesome ones like based off of king cake too, which
I thought lobster ice cream is good, so I bet you there's a crawfish ice cream. The lobster ice cream has chunks of lobster in it.
Jail.
Okay.
The thing about this that I really like is I do like Pitt Girl said, I like salt, sweet crunch.
Mm-hmm.
This checks all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't put that it was Skyline on it, I probably would be okay with it. It's the addition of the name, I think, that throws me. But I had a shishi pretentious restaurant a dessert that was, they called it vegetable course, and it was beet ice cream, carrot ice cream, bell pepper ice cream, and I forget it was green pea ice cream.
The only one of those I don't hate on the premise is the bell pepper one.
Mm-hmm. You would have liked all of them. They're fine. They're good. But they do taste just like you're eating cold iced carrot or whatever.
Yeah.
But with good ice cream, it's not icy. It's a good ice cream texture.
Yeah.
Like gelato.
Maybe the carrot one would be okay too. I don't know, man. Pea ice cream just is not appealing.
Fair.
No, I'm not going there. Because I was like, the vegetable.
Well, let's talk about other things you shouldn't put pea in. Florida State had more inches of snow fall in their stadium this year than they had wins for the season.
Ayo!
3 inches of snow in Tallahassee, 2 wins for Florida State. Oh, hey, scrolling back to something because my ADHD kicked in. Do you guys know, Commish, you don't get to say this. Do you know who Indiana picked up as their quarterback for next year?
No.
It's Cal's quarterback, Fernando Mendoza.
Oh, shit.
I'm really excited about that.
Oh.
When Cignetti said that, I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, shit.
I was like, yeah. I even told him, I was like, Curt, you know, he completed a pass to himself for a touchdown pass. And he was like, he did a little...
He did? He did do that.
I was like, he broke stats. Through a lateral. I told him through a lateral. He was like, oh, okay.
I love when we break math.
Yes. I love it when we get to tell things that break coaches' brains.
That was fun.
And then, y'all, UConn, you did me a solid. You put out a graphic. I need y'all to look at this graphic, please. It's in the show notes.
Oh, by the way, they deleted that.
They did?
It's beautiful.
A couple of...
oh, did I bully them into doing that?
Maybe about... I think they let it hang for about 2 hours, and then they deleted it.
Oh, you can't do that, baby. Baby, don't do that.
Don't
If
do
it's
that.
up for 2 hours, leave it. Leave it.
Get
This
some people
says
going.
big font, number 4.
Yeah.
Smaller font, but in bold, legible. Most valuable college athletic department. Small, less legible, thin font. Not in a Power 4 conference.
And they cite their source, CNBC.
And the CNBC logo is pretty big. It's actually bigger than the UConn logo at the very top of the graphic.
Yep.
I was unaware that CNBC covered college athletics.
I mean, we all remember that 30 seconds when Florida State was like looking at getting venture capital money. I'm sure CNBC has a lot of interest in that.
When the Saudi private equity fund owns Florida State.
But now I'm just picturing Jim Cramer, Mad Money, like buying and selling Florida State football.
Buy Alabama.
Buy Alabama. Hit sound effects.
I mean I've seen sports get pushed to CNBC as like overflow, but I don't think that's ever happened to college football because NBC doesn't have a lot of college football. I've definitely seen like racing or like some like soccer, like something like that could end up on CNBC if there's a conflict or something.
People are also going crazy. The 4 on here is outlined in such a way that it also can look like it's coming out of the page or going into the page.
Oh, yeah.
People's eyes get stressed on that, and a lot of people were arguing about that in our comments as well.
Oh, yep. I'm now seeing it both ways. That's fun. Fuck. Thank you for pointing that out.
Wow.
Looking at it like it's going into the page is very uncomfortable. I don't like that.
This reminds me of people used to do this way about Crow T Robot on MST3K, Mr. Sense Theater 3000, because he's a shadow. It looks like he's either looking away or towards the screen, depending on how you see it. You can train yourself to flip it back and forth. It's like the dancer. The dancer that spins, it looks like she's spinning in both directions, and you can switch it.
Yeah, or the dress.
Yes, or the dress. Okay, folks, going on to our ad reads, our area of financial gain.
Buy Sickos Committee.
What? Once we go public, buy Sickos Committee. Hold up, where's my buttons? Sickos Committee. Big money. We have, of course, our friends over at the Varsity app. They're going to keep doing, I believe, the college basketball blitz, but they'll tell us when they're going to do it again. So if you're into that, we'll tell you when that's going on.
None shall know the hour.
Someone
we'll
probably
tell you.
does. Yeah, we'll let you know. Join our Patreon for $5 a month. Get access to our Discord. You're also going to get access to things like chatting with us throughout the week, giving us new ideas, helping us do research, giving us ideas for research, because we have plenty of those right now. We also have our paywall podcasts that are going to start up again. Beth and I already planned a couple episodes of Yes, Rah, 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 Yes.
And then the one that they're about to put up there.
And yes, of course, the full interviews, which will be a lot of fun. Check out our merch store, sickoscommittee.org. We have some new things that just went up. Commish added some stickers.
Yeah. Disaster.
What a bad idea.
What a bad idea. I'm just using that in daily life now.
I have spread the gospel of oh no, disaster, what a bad idea to several of my real job coworkers, and some of them have since passed it on to their partners.
Nice.
We're advancing the sickos agenda, folks.
Somebody posted that something broke in their house, and then somebody replied, oh no, and then I just had the reply after that, disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And then Beth ran in all late and she's like, what a bad idea.
Oh no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
I'm gonna have to put that on shirts and mugs.
Yes.
Like, oh god, a mug, like drinking my morning coffee at work. Oh no, disaster! What a bad idea.
I'm gonna need one of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some mugs.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm adding that to mugs this week at some point.
We have our YouTube, our Instagram, our Twitch, our Substack. Shout out to Message Board Geniuses podcast. They go the places we refuse to go. Let me double back on the Substack. Commish actually just wrote a great article about the travel we did at Getting to Talk to Coaches.
Yeah, I just did that. It comes out on Monday, which you'll hear this on Tuesday. I basically kind of put this, what we talked about on the podcast, in like written form. I threw in some pictures. And then made some ridiculous offhand comments like I normally do. And with the Substack, I can guarantee you there will be a typo. No matter what I can do, there will be one. I will like triple check it and quadruple check it, have somebody else check it. It's still going to happen. So
It is
that's
the nature. It is the
the-
nature of published work. It's not just you.
That is the Sicko Sentinel guarantee.
And as always, home field apparel for the softest, comfiest, officially licensed collegiate apparel. Commish is rocking the UTC shirt.
Yeah, UT Chattanooga.
The Mox.
The Mox.
I'm wearing the Tulane hoodie with a Pitt shirt underneath.
I want to say that they have hockey jerseys coming.
They do.
Ooh.
Okay, so use that code. Also, if you missed the mystery box, I had to make it like it's the mystery box. The mystery box, man.
Use offer code yes, yes, 3 Haas for 15% off your first order. Now it's time for the Sickos Film Club, where we watch movies and we talk about them. It's the Sickos Film Club.
Okay, we need to workshop that.
It's great. It's fine.
Sickos Committee watches movies.
God, no, watches things.
We
Sickos
can't.
Committee watches things.
We can't just call it Flickos.
No.
Okay,
Nope.
yeah.
Nope.
No, not gonna work out. All right.
I arbitrarily chose a movie for us to watch.
Yeah.
It was
This is Jordan's doing.
It was great. It was called The Garbage Picking, Field Goal Kicking Philadelphia Phenomenon. Go Birds. And also with you. Now, has anyone here seen this movie before?
No.
Oh God, no.
I feel like I have,
I feel like I have.
but like
Watching it, I definitely remember it.
there was bits and pieces that I remember, but I don't think I ever sat through the whole thing and watched it.
So,
But I did.
Commish is going to be joining in with us for a little bit. There's a Sports Illustrated article about the oral history of this movie.
That's right. The behind the scenes
But
of how this movie came to be.
we'll get to that in a moment. I want to start with, well, first off, a little background. This was a Disney made-for-TV movie from 98. It is one of the most 90s things ever made.
Yes.
Yeah.
I took notes while I was watching this
too. Yes.
Yes.
Hold on.
And one of like the third bullet point I have is, how did they nail the 90s kid Eagles fan vibe like that?
Well, Pitt Girl, what was your general opinion of the movie? Let's get that here. Overview.
It was a Disney Channel original movie. That sure was a movie. I did.
So, what was the one we had it in the chat? I forgot what. I think it was Mara that said that was one of the movies of all time.
Yeah, it sure was a movie. I started watching it at like 9:00 last night. I was trying to get Obnoxiously Pit Boyfriend to watch it with me, and I had it on the TV on YouTube, and he was like, "Why does it look like that? Can't you make it look better?" And I went into the settings, and no, 480p with the blue screen flashes from being brought over from a taped VHS tape is where we're at, which is appropriate.
I mean, I feel like we do not do TV movies anymore.
We don't.
We don't.
Like, especially not ones airing on network television. I was trying to think of how many TV movies I've seen, like movies that aired initially on TV, and I can only think of like 2 others, and they're all from like pretty much this exact time period. The one I've seen the Nick Fury TV movie that Fox did.
Oh yeah,
where David Hasselhoff plays Nick Fury, and it was supposed to be like a backdoor pilot for a Nick Fury TV show that never actually happened. Then the other one I've seen is a movie called Future Sport, which 1998 is set in the year 2025. So we've reached the year of Future Sport. I haven't seen anyone talking about this, because usually when like you reach a year, right, like when we reach like one of those Back to the Future years, like people are all like talking about like, whoa, we've we've reached that point. No one's
That was
talking about future
2016.
sport. Yeah, no one's talking about future
Oh, I
sport.
wonder why.
It's it stars Dean Cain and Wesley Snipes.
Okay. I do love both of them. So
John Boyes wrote an article about future sport like more than a decade ago over at SB Nation. I think it's probably the like one of the top things that comes up if you try to look up future sport.
okay.
But it is streaming on a bunch of different streaming sites. Like it's one of those movies where you just like, oh, where is this streaming? And it's like every free streaming site, like
Oh, it's on
Tubi,
Tubi and
Pluto
Pluto.
TV,
Okay.
like Amazon free. Like it's like anywhere you could watch a movie for free, they have future sport. Future sport, that like we might have to watch that at some point just because it's 2025. We can see what they nailed about 2025 and what they didn't.
Commish, how did you feel about we're going to have to say the title the whole time, or can we shorten this somehow? The garbage picking field goal kicking Philadelphia phenomena.
Can we just call that, was it like GPFG?
KPP, yeah.
KPP?
Okay.
Yeah, no, we can't.
That's
even
way
do that,
better.
no.
So I was disappointed by this title. One of my favorite things in a movie is when they say the name of the movie in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
they don't.
And
And
they
didn't.
never say it. And there
Never
was
did.
a specific person in the movie. I was expecting him to say it. I was like excited for him to say it, and he didn't say it. Of course, I'm
didn't
talking
say it.
about Chris Berman.
That's right.
Like that's the exact type of shit he would say, doing his NFL read.
He didn't do it.
Like
I mean, he
would have
did
been
go,
the guy to do it.
welcome to prime time. Like he did that in this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
It was like-
he's doing his own show, but like I just really wanted him to actually say the name of the movie, like in doing the highlights in the style that he does. Like it sounds like something he would say. That's why it was disappointing for me.
This feels so 90s in the way it's shot because every camera shot is so up close on everyone's face.
Yes, and the hairstyles and the hot wife and the hot talent scout.
Like,
Yes.
Like, dude, could we back away from Danza a little bit?
No,
Like,
camera has to be
you know,
right in
they're-
Danza's face the whole time.
How will we see his incredible dramatic performance if the camera is not literally up his nostril?
Jesus,
That's what it looks like.
like a volleyball ref. This is
Yeah, I'm doing the review right now. Let's go to the monitor.
the other part I loved was this movie's wild tone shifts.
Yes.
It is so wildly goofy to start with. And
Yeah.
with like the meat slapper sound effects. We'll talk about the sound design eventually because the sound design in this movie is amazing. Every sound effect is art, especially the football every time it's in the air. But the tone shifts between like film has a dramatic ending it did not earn. The last 20 minutes, like his speech comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's like
what is this?
several jarring shifts in tone here. And then it becomes a Christmas movie at the end for no reason.
I forgot this. It was a fucking Christmas movie.
Like this football season doesn't even make any sense. Like,
yeah, it's weird. It's like it's the most generic sports stories you could imagine.
Yep.
Like all of the actual sports in the movie is just cliches.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? Like it's not like there's nothing original about and it doesn't, none of it feels earned. Like it feels like they were just kind of hitting story like, okay, we got to have him come in, we got to have him be good, then something happens, he loses his mojo, and then he's got to get his mojo back for like one last thing at the end. But and the speech he gives is 100% cliches as well.
Yes.
But like I don't know, that was kind of disappointing to me. There was nothing at all interesting to me about the underlying story or anything that happened in the movie.
I think my favorite thing in the movie is when they're showing the football action. It's like, how do you get the
clearly
field
not
goal?
there?
No. How do you get the field goal kicker involved in this? Like, you have to set up. They got to kick the field. No, it's just like it's 3rd and 12, and let's show an incomplete pass. Now we have to kick a field goal.
Yes.
Oh, and he's gonna come up short. Or he's like, he's like 8 yards short of the chains. Or there was one where it was like 4th and inches. I'm like, go for it. Like, fuck this field goal from like 20-something yards away. Like, go for it.
Well, and conversely, towards the end of the movie, when he like shanks the field goal, and we're getting down to the sad part of the movie.
Yeah.
They expected him to make a 75-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Wait,
What
who
the
are they?
fuck is that?
I mean, like he hadn't even broken the record yet.
They set him up to fail, and then the entire city of Philadelphia hated him. Which actually, honestly, that tracks.
That's
But,
totally
like,
fine.
That's the only thing believable in the movie. They would
Also, angry
was-
dad, angry granddad who wants to cut people's feet off.
Yes.
Relatable character.
Yes, I mean,
Now,
they
Arthur,
nailed that role.
you said that this was Cookie Cutter. I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Harmon's story cycle. Dan Harmon, the maker of Community. I posted it in the chat here. I want to say that this story is one of the most efficient bits of storytelling I've ever seen. Because here's the cycle. Our hero is in a zone of comfort. They desire something. Enter an unfamiliar situation. Adapt to the situation. Get what they desired, but pay a heavy price for winning. Return to their familiar situation. They have changed overall. This is fucking efficient storytelling. This is the hero's journey.
I mean, it is, but none of it really flows or makes
Doesn't
sense.
matter. Nope.
No.
Every check mark here.
I still don't understand why a lot of the things happened.
Movie.
Like he's doing well at the kicking thing, and then suddenly, like, it's like, oh, he's got too famous, and now he can't kick.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
I'm like,
Well,
when I watch a movie,
and she didn't
when I watch a
attend.
movie, like, I want some like linear thread between that, right? Like, if his leg got tired out or something, like that I would have been like more okay with that because it's like relevant to what was happening in the movie.
Is that what happens in what's the one with the kid with the baseball
Rookie
arm?
of the year?
Yes,
Rookie of the year, yes.
His tendon gets fixed or something. Yeah,
Yes.
this happens. Yes, there's a reason for it.
Yes. Well, it would make sense, but I think in the beginning when they show the montage of him kicking the lever
Yes.
of the garbage truck,
Yes.
it just like no purpose of just him kicking it. And I'm like, oh, this is really good foreshadowing. Like he is strong at kicking
Yes,
this thing.
this movie has foreshadowing. This is a functional film. This film functions.
I love that the talent scout who is implausibly like this movie is set in like 1997 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And number one, I didn't realize that they were still at the vet then. So like I throwing this movie on, I'm like, so there's that. But also that we are expected to believe that an NFL talent scout in 1997 is this incredibly attractive redheaded woman.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Well,
Okay.
Was that her job? I just assumed she was some sort of like assistant to the owner.
To the owner, yeah.
No, I don't know
exactly
what they were I think clear about her being a talent scout.
Okay.
This also, talk about implausibility. This all rests on him like kicking water jugs.
It says Eagles executives.
Okay.
So
didn't even have
at first I want to say the kicking motion that he uses to kick the lever is completely different than the kicking motion you would use to kick a football because the lever is much higher up in the air. You're just trying to get it to go up. I mean, maybe if he was a punter, there would be some transferability, but
that would be even they couldn't even sell that movie. Look, it's hard enough to sell a movie about a good field goal kicker.
Garbage kicking, punt kicking, Philadelphia phenomenon. We would like that movie.
No, but they couldn't sell that.
No, they couldn't.
I like the idea too that the executive sees someone just kicking things in a dump and is like, "Oh, we have to sign that person to the football team." Mm-hmm. Like, how old is he supposed to be? Because he says in the movie that he's been driving the garbage truck for 17 years. So, I mean, like at a minimum, at a minimum, if he did that right out of high school, he would be like 35.
Yes, mid to late 30s, I would say.
I do love the bit where when he's kicking, he's got his like Doc Martens work boot on.
Yes.
Like it's very Happy Gilmore,
Mhm.
and I respect that.
And
Definitely.
the kicker who did all the kicking in the movie, Commish, that was
Mike Vanderjagt.
Thank you.
The former Indianapolis Colts kicker. The one that Peyton Manning called an idiot kicker.
Yes. And this guy did all the kicking and in the boot too. So
Yes.
he was every time you see a ball kicked where an actual foot makes contact with it and it's not game footage, it is absolutely this one dude.
Yes.
Shout out to this one dude.
Yes. Clearly the high point of his career. Oh, wait. This was also all filmed in not Ontario, in Hamilton.
Well, Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto was the stadium.
The practice field in particular is very funny for me because it's like, this is definitely not the Eagles practice field.
no.
This is a high school.
Yes.
And well, the stadium, the reason that they always cut into such close shots whenever there's a sideline shot is because there was no one there.
No.
And that they were also in Canada.
All right, I want to get to something, and I'm gonna
numbers too, by the way.
Can I get to something here?
Yep.
Like the head injuries in the movie.
Okay, the CTE, the film, yes.
Jesus Christ, how many concussions did Tony Danza take?
The 90s were a different time.
They were a different time. You could get jacked up from like NFL prime time, and you know, but like there was. I don't understand why the football coach was just like so mean to him. Like it's just a kicker. Like
that's another sports movie.
That's
trope.
another sports movie trope. Like,
but this movie is so weird because they had the current Eagles owner in the movie as a guest spot.
Yes, he was there was a cameo in the.
He's the guy that says the new Eagles owner must be a real great guy.
He's like, it's me.
What movie have you ever seen where it's the owner who's the good guy, but the coach is the bad guy? That is wild shit. Usually it's the evil owner and I think Major League, right? It's the evil owner that wants to sell or move the team, and the coach who's the good heart. This is propaganda. This is ownership propaganda.
That's right. Jeffrey Lurie, who was in the movie, basically trying to make himself look like a good guy.
And the NFL said you can use the footage because they had actual NFL footage and
They
logos.
They were ready to do that.
So what I'm hearing is this is like the NFL's version of the U.S. military being all about Marvel movies.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
They were all for this. They wanted exactly what the Eagles executive said. They wanted an average Joe in the NFL.
This thing, the sound design, like every sound effect in this movie is a fucking symphony. Because it is, every kick has this very old school, like whip crack almost.
Can you just like pull the link up to the beginning of the movie?
Oh, when the title comes in?
I just want to watch the opening PowerPoint presentation of the title.
Yeah, give me a sec.
I saw this, I was like, okay, I'm in. Like I just like the title. And then you got the sound effects with it. It's
okay.
It's
Here
so
we go.
good.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah. Oh, this is different link than I got. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. just the
so good
with the sound effects.
The same sounds as from the movie when he kicks every ball. Did you notice when they're practicing, there's a song over it? Did you notice what fight song it was?
Yes. Notre Dame is every generic fight song.
Notre Dame is every generic fight song.
I was pointing at the screen like Leonardo DiCaprio during that scene.
Okay, so let's talk about some of our supporting characters here. The owner.
Yes.
Well, so I don't know if we haven't talked about the plot yet because the plot's so simple. Guy gets jacked kicking the hydraulic lever of his garbage truck.
Yes.
He ends up getting spotted as a kicker. He joins the Eagles. The coach hates him. The owner loves him. And
because the coach wanted a professional kicker.
Right.
He's just a garbage man.
Oh, God. What kind of coach is this? Wanting professional football players who have played football.
And
on the professional football team.
And at the end, the whole reconciliation is supposed to be like, well, you're just not the guy I wanted. Okay, thanks. So he does this, and he's bad, but then earns the respect of his peers and kicks really good, but then he gets too famous.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets caught kissing another woman, so his wife hates him.
To be fair, she like assaults him.
Yeah, it just caught him off guard completely. But and then they put the photo in the paper.
Page 1, baby, big enough. The kicker of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I'll say,
Eagles blow off some steam.
The best part, the most believable thing in this whole movie is the Eagles fans loving someone so dearly so quickly and then turning on him immediately. That is the most realistic part of this movie.
I will say that we have neglected to mention the B plot of this movie, insofar as there is one, which is that Tony Danza's kid is like low-key embarrassed that his dad is a garbage man.
Mm-hmm. And then at the end has come to terms with it, I think. Did they ever wrap that storyline up?
Not really, because he never shows up for career day again.
No,
so it's just sort of trails off.
You could have put that at the very end. That's how you cap this movie. Jesus
you put a bow on it by having him show up at career day and be like, yeah, I'm a garbage man.
So this is maybe my number one takeaway from this movie. The number one thing that stuck out to me. He gets signed by the Eagles and still like continues driving his garbage. Like, how does that work with like the practice schedule and then like his work schedule?
Yes.
Like he's trying to Doug Gottlieb it, but like as a player.
I like that Doug Gottlieb's a verb now.
He's like, I'm now on the roster of the Philadelphia Eagles, but I'm gonna keep doing this other job that I have.
Well, and it becomes a whole like point of contention with his wife too. Side note, shout out to the scene where his wife is like, by the way, I make more money than you. That shit hits. Girl boss.
I like that because it like he had the line earlier where he's like, oh, like I don't love that, like I don't like that you make as much money as I do. And I was like, oh, like wow, like yep, it's the 90s. And then like I was happy they saved it with her coming back.
It was like a minute later too. There was some space between those two hits of that joke.
Oh yeah, she let it breathe so it would hit.
But no, I mean like I totally get like that he doesn't have time for his family. It's like, yeah, you're working 2 jobs. Like you're a professional football player in season and you're trying to still work full time driving a garbage truck. I wouldn't have time for my family if I was doing that. You know?
This movie wants to also be a slapstick movie. Yeah. There's a lot of slapstick in this movie. Some of it very good. Some of it not so much. When Bubba, can we chases the guy.
Can we talk about his whole plot?
Okay, Bubba's plot. Bubba's plot is that he's too big.
Yeah, he's too big. I hate it when the offensive lineman is too big.
Right. What is like, we're trying to get the offensive lineman to make weight like it's fucking wrestling?
Yeah. Is this sprint football? That would explain something.
Hey, what about those really close-up shots when they're eating the ribs? How do we feel about that? Tony Danza's juicy face.
The sauce. Yeah, the sauce on both of them. I'm like, I don't need this.
The only thought I had during that scene was like, take them to Amarillo and have them do the steak challenge.
Steak challenge, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's implied, I guess, that like Tony Danza, just in that one scene, can eat like crazy and is never referenced again.
Yeah.
No, it's just.
Well, they also have they have Tony Danza as the kicker going through all the same routines, like pushing a tackle sled.
Yeah, they got him doing like the up downs. They got him doing.
Yeah, the coach is a hard ass.
The coach is.
Hey, kickers got to be ready to make tackles. It does happen sometimes.
Yeah, and he missed one in the game when he missed a field. Yeah.
See.
Yeah, foreshadowing. Yeah.
No, well, so his roommate Bubba
Yes.
Who apparently that actor passed away a couple years ago, unfortunately,
Mm.
from during gallbladder surgery. But
Yeah.
he, dude is big. Dude is like 6'5", 6'6", 3 something.
Mhm. He used to block for Barry Sanders.
Yes, he was at Oklahoma State. He used to lead block for. Yeah, imagine Barry Sanders with that dude in front of you, just like clear bodies out, like fools out of your way. Now, I will say there were some shots in this movie when they cut back from the action with the actors, where that dude he's not putting in the work to chase anyone down. I'll tell you right now, he's jogging lightly at best. The funny thing about this movie is that, like, the quarterback's not the hero. The quarterback barely gets mentioned. Like our main characters are the kicker and this O lineman. That's our point of entry onto this team, basically, and the other kicker, the bad.
The only time the quarterback is the quarterback's actually the holder.
Yes, that's right.
He's the holder. So like he throws an incomplete pass on 3rd down, and then he's out there holding for the kicker.
Look, I mean, I don't know about their roster construction, but like if they're using up 2 roster spots on kickers,
they got 2 kickers.
They must have some others in the roster where they've got people doing double duty.
There was, I don't even know what point in the season this occurs.
Yeah, like explain that, because we end up at Christmas.
The timeline of this movie does not make any fucking sense.
Well, we end up at Christmas. That's when the season ends in the NFL. It ends around Christmas, New Year's. That's normal. That's fine for me. But like when he comes in kicking, it looks like it's summer.
Like how many weeks did he actually kick?
Like how many? Like did they sign him in like mid-November? I mean, is it 6 games? Is it 5 games? I mean, like, what are they doing here?
Do we ever see an away game?
No. All home games.
Okay, that's the other thing. They're always at home too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because they don't have the SEC scheduling.
That's right.
SEC just gives everybody road games.
That's right.
Another sound effect that I love. Every time they were at the dump, those seagull sounds, whoever had the seagull sound button was slamming their hand on it. Come on, like over every conversation.
Would a dump in Philly have seagulls?
Yes.
Yeah, it's close enough.
It's close enough to water.
There's a river.
You see seagulls like show up. Seagulls love garbage. They show up like shockingly far inland.
There's like
for
a river
garbage
right next to it. And,
yes, there is the Delaware.
Jersey's there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering like where the dump was supposed to be located, because
probably New Jersey.
Because they mentioned moving the team to the dump. That's the plot device to get the executives to the dump to see him kick. Is like, hey, this landfill, we're gonna put the Eagles stadium in the middle of a landfill, which honestly, like, could be a vibe, but really had me wondering, like, where the hell is this place? Because it doesn't look urban at all.
Eagles Stadium in the middle of a landfill is spiritually correct.
They would call it the dump for the next 400 years.
Yes.
Pridefully, they would call it the dump. Big Bubba, by the way, his roommate was a Maryland Terp. Canonically, they announced it that way.
Oh yes.
I
recall this.
So they're playing the game against the Dolphins, and he goes to kick the ball, and it hooks violently to the left. And by violently to the left, I mean it goes on the 50, like down the length of the 50-yard line at the camera. Yeah, I don't understand this kick.
That is the 76-yarder or 75-yarder that he tried. So he missed it with the combat boot.
But he misses it in a way that is so wild. It could
the physics of that miss are implausible at best.
Like, it couldn't just be like, oh, he pushed it a little right. It came up short. No, he knocked out the person sitting on the 50 somehow.
Like, if he missed a field goal, like, he missed a fucking field goal. Like,
yes.
There was no like, oh, it just like slightly to the left.
Not to reference a much better sports movie, but in Major League, this is the Charlie Sheen thing where like he just is a wild pitcher. This guy has shown to have control, except this one time he very much does not.
Yeah, when he doesn't for the sake of the plot.
Yeah, or the other one where he just like dribbled it on the ground.
Yes.
And it got returned for a touchdown. It was like when he missed, like it was like he could never kick a football ever before because he was just a garbage man. Like his powers had disappeared, but we don't know why. It just happens.
So the question then becomes, does this movie also know how weight loss works?
No.
No.
Because, again, Bubba, his side plot is he's an O-lineman who's too large.
Too large.
Which,
yes.
again,
No.
does anyone who wrote this movie actually watch football?
Well, so
I mean, I think they just needed a plot device.
this movie was originally commissioned. Who was supposed to be? Was it Billy Crystal?
Yeah.
This was supposed to be a Billy Crystal basketball movie.
Yeah.
That raises more questions than answers.
They wanted to do a movie with Billy Crystal and the NBA.
And here's the elevator pitch. What if a guy worked at a fish place like in Seattle and he could hit a full court basketball shot because he was so good at throwing fish?
Okay.
I think that's more interesting.
And then somebody says, but that just didn't seem logistically possible. Defenders would be right on him.
Mm.
And so they had to go down the ladder to like, what about a field goal kicker? This is, oh my God, this is so like, the whole plot of this should never have gotten off the ground in the first place. But God, I'm glad they filmed this. Hold up. Go ahead, Commish.
Oh, well, so like there's more in this movie. It's just,
Yeah, go rip it apart, bud. Let's get in this thing.
Okay.
I'm already elbows deep. Let's go.
So like the kicker that's having trouble, right?
Yeah.
Like they would have cut him like games ago.
He would not be
He would
around.
not have been around. Like there's no, and then they keep him on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, they're not friends. They're just rivals.
Yeah, they gotta have him
Yeah.
around so he can be mean to the new guy.
Yeah, and then he takes over and he's like, I'm just whatever, man. Like, I'm gonna like line
buddy,
straight up and kick
you're
the
a
ball.
professional at this thing. Let me give you some advice. I guess I'm just built different.
I mean, look, just
I kicked at the Pro Bowl.
A lot of people don't have trouble giving professional athletes advice on how they should be doing their jobs.
True. That is true.
That's true. Have you looked at Twitter anytime recently?
But rarely to their faces, though. Rarely to, like, if you're within getting punch distance, people get a lot less mouthy.
That's true.
So the big kind of like, I guess, redemption, right, for this other kicker is like he decides to try the tip that he got.
Yeah.
But we don't see him ever practicing it like that. Was he just like in the game, just like, you know what? Let me do this completely differently than from how I've been doing it my entire NFL career.
Yes.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
Then he made it, and then he made a bunch, and Tony Danza gives him a concussion, and he's out for the game. That's the game.
Real convenient for Tony Danza.
So that's the wild thing. In the climax of this film, we get everyone's resolution so fast and furious. They're down at the half. Tony Danza gives the big, like, it's not the coach that gives the big rah-rah speech. It's Tony Danza, who hasn't been with
for some reason
for like weeks at this point because he got too famous and couldn't stop being able to kick good. So
the thing that get him back on the team, like that would never work with any owner.
It's Christmas.
You gotta let me kick one last time, and then he doesn't even start. Like how? There's no way you go talk to the owner.
It's Christmas,
and then the executive. It's Christmas, boss.
In this world,
it's just
owners are the loving, kind people, and it's the mean coaches and players.
Listen, what they don't show you are the 3 ghosts that visited the owner that night.
Well, in that real quick video,
fuck you. The ghost of Philly's past, fuck you. Ghost of Philly's past, fuck you. Or I will be. I will fuck you.
I will be.
No cheeses for the Mises in Philadelphia.
Jesus. This is just shaking batteries instead of chains.
Yeah.
Put a pin in a Philadelphia Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I think we might.
I will add it to the vision board. We can circle back around on this one.
I think we might have dredged something up
December.
yeah, this was apparently a bunch of the folks had already played football too. So between takes, they would like fuck around and play football, especially some of the guys who were like semi pros or whatever. And they'd be like, "Hey, stop doing that because you're gonna get hurt."
Probably better football than the actual football in the movie. I'm just guessing.
Oh,
Almost certainly.
absolutely. Tony Danza also did have a stunt double for not just the football stuff, but for some of the like wackier things, like getting shoved into a locker and all those stuff.
When they pulled him on the
sled,
they hit him on the sled and they like repelled him back like 30 yards.
I feel like getting shoved into a locker is one where you can pretty safely do your own stunts. I don't know. If I'm Tony Danza, I think I just get shoved into the locker.
So I want to give you. All right, we discussed the film enough. Can we do like the behind the scenes?
Yeah,
or no?
go for it, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a couple more things I want to
Okay, go ahead.
talk
Go
about.
ahead,
I want
Arthur.
to talk about the cast. That's the one thing that we haven't really
Okay.
talked about outside of. I'm gonna be honest. I think this is the first time I've ever seen Tony Danza in anything. Like I didn't really know who he was. I still don't.
We got you gotta watch.
me a lot.
He's the boss.
Find Taxi. Taxi's a great
Yeah.
sitcom that still holds up from the 70s.
Okay.
And he's on there.
The only
Yeah.
Taxi I've seen is the Queen Latifah Jimmy Fallon.
Not that
vehicle.
movie.
No,
No,
not that one.
there was a sitcom. It was good. Judd Hirsch, Andy Kaufman,
Danny DeVito, and Chris Lloyd.
DeVito,
Hmm.
Christopher Lloyd.
This was a Nick
Tony
Knight
Danza
for
was
me.
in that. What was the? What was it like? Was he Banya? No, not Banya. I can't remember his character name off the top. It started with a B though.
Oh, good. Taxi's available on Pluto TV.
Nice.
All
Okay.
right. So I just like whenever I watch a movie, I look through the cast.
You
And
do
I'm
the
looking
cast
for a
thing.
couple things, just because I know if I watch a movie and I see someone and I'm like, oh, they look familiar, then I'm going to spend the whole time thinking like, oh, like what do I know them from?
Yeah.
So I just try to look it up. So Tony Danza, I don't think I've ever seen anything he's been in. The wife, I did not recognize her, but apparently she was
Oh, yep.
she played female newscaster in Batman Forever.
Okay.
So
I spent the movie trying to figure out where I knew the wife from, and now that I look, I watched a lot of Judging Amy with my mom as a youth, and she
Mhm.
was on Judging Amy.
okay, yeah, I was gonna say she was also in the movie Rising Sun. Again, a very small role there.
God.
So like, but some of the other people in this movie. So Art LaFleur, right? He plays the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a bunch of credits. The ones that I've seen, probably would be Cobra, Oscar, a couple of Stallone movies there. He was in Death Warrant. That's a Jean-Claude Van Damme
I know
movie.
Death Warrant, yeah.
He has a lot of credits. Did a lot of work playing supporting characters in various movies.
Wow, he was on the Tony Danza show that year too.
Oh wow! Wonder how he got that gig.
No idea.
So and then of course probably the most notable person in this movie is I would say Ray Wise, who plays the owner.
Yes.
And he's been in a lot of stuff, but I know him most from RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
You had Fred Stoller, who is more of a comic actor. He was the other guy in the garbage truck.
Yes, I
but
recognize him.
yeah, like he has a lot of comedies that he's been in.
He's that guy.
Yeah. So I just, I like to look through and see like, okay, like, are there people in this movie that I've heard of that have real careers? The Eagles executive, the woman, this is only one of her only 4 movie credits.
Okay.
So there definitely people in this movie that didn't have a long career doing this, but there's some people I know of. Chris Berman, by the way, I looked him up because it just pops up like he's in the cast.
Mhm.
Yes.
16 movie credits.
Yeah. I can see that. He is in like any like sports movie in this time frame. Chris Berman definitely had like a cameo
Yep,
as the
it's-
ESPN person. Yeah.
Yep, it's all of it. I think is him as himself, but like he was in Draft Day. He was in Eddie, the movie where Whoopi Goldberg coaches the Knicks.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
A lot of movie appearances for Chris Berman.
Hey, Pitt Girl, there is a not Whitney Houston, Jesus Christ, Whoopi Goldberg movie that we do need to watch at some point, just for fun. I can't remember what the name of it is, but she's a cop whose partner is a dinosaur.
Oh,
What?
Theodore Rex. I've
Theodore Rex,
seen that.
thank you,
It's
Theodore
not
Rex.
good. It's not good.
No, it's real bad. It's real bad. With dinosaurs as a clumsy allegory for racism too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whoopi
Right.
Goldberg.
okay.
She signed on to do the movie and tried so hard to back out of it, and eventually her lawyers were like, "You're gonna have to film this movie."
and that vibe is present in every shot.
Yeah.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I want to say like her character is like some sort of like I don't want to know if it's like a cyborg or an android. Like she's like some sort of like robotic person.
It's great. It's great.
And her partner is a dinosaur. Yeah.
Okay.
Commish, what other things can you tell us about the history of this movie from that Sports Illustrated article?
Okay, so there was it's called The Oral History of Tony Danza's Garbage Picking Field Goal Kicking Philadelphia Phenomenon.
By Alex Pruitt.
Yes, Alex Pruitt, shout out for this history. This was when the last time the Eagles made the Super Bowl and they played the Chiefs. Wow, it's
Yeah,
wow.
weirdly timely movie.
Weirdly timely movie. So there was a bunch of they had some issues with the title here because it's probably one of the longest titles of a movie in film history. I just want to give you some titles that they had besides the one that they went with. The original one was My Right Foot.
No, that's bad.
No, that's
All
worse.
right.
That's bad.
The next one was just called The G-Man, which
Okay.
you know, I mean it's
great.
weird that he plays for because Chris Berman like nickname for the New York Football Giants were the G-Man.
Right.
And so
right.
I don't think that would have worked out well. There was another one from Garbage to Gridiron.
That's
I'm like, okay. Then at some point they just called it the Untitled Tony Danza Project.
See, no, that's what you call the movie. It's like being Washington football team. You just own it.
That's better, yeah.
Utah Hockey Club.
Yes, basically that's what it was. So they had the owner in there, and I'm gonna have to just put that in the chat because like the owner's in his favorite like diner that he would go to as a garbage man, and do that. I will note that Tony Danza's father was really a garbage man, so this is kind of why I guess this film was made. You were like, who's this for? It was Tony Danza's passion project, like a love letter to his father, like and then it's like, him and the kid not respecting the garbage. I'm like, oh God, is this like real history here?
Yes, it is.
Crazy. It is, right?
Oh,
So
God.
I feel like maybe Tony Danza, you could have just gone to therapy.
maybe. Well, we got this movie instead. So guys will make movies.
Men will
instead
make
of
a movie.
Men will make a movie about garbage picking, field goal kicking, Philadelphia phenomenon instead of going to therapy. So there's a comment that said, my first day was taking out the garbage. So right away, this is going to be fun. And then like there's another person like, the garbage dumps stank like hell. And I'm like, yes, the shooting schedule was 6 days a week in Toronto. So yes, nothing was really filmed in Philadelphia. It was in Toronto.
Well, neither is It's Always Sunny, so I think it's okay.
Yeah. So some folks were like, as a sports fan, it was cool to step on a major league field, even if it was the CFL. So this was filmed on a CFL field.
Wow.
It's not an NFL field. All CFL.
Well, you can tell because like the field is definitely very obviously had the numbers changed.
Yeah, the field felt way wider than it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And now I understand why.
Because it was.
It was. So there's a couple of different things. They had people like land on top of him.
Oh, when they
And
all
they're
turn
trying to-
around and do the
yeah, they there's like, well, let's give him the lookout block for the field goal kicker. Let the entire team just tackle the kicker. That we just let's do that. And Tony Danza's single bar helmet becomes a bent bar, which there's no way anybody was wearing the single bar in '98.
That was okay. So that also made absolutely no sense that anyone would be wearing the single bar in 1998.
And then like
Vibes.
then after he's done, he's like, screw this, I'm wearing a defensive lineman face mask. After that.
I mean,
Again,
even just
vibes.
the idea that a football coach would be like, you know what? Like, I don't want this new player to succeed. Like, there will be coaches, right, who like might play favorites or whatever like that, right? But like, there's no football coach out there that's like, oh, like I'm going to intentionally set someone up for failure in the way that they do in this movie.
No, there's no. Yeah, right. No.
Like, they want to win games. That's what they want to do.
So the funny thing for me is that the kicker that they got, Mike Vanderjagt, who is Canadian, so he was just like there at this time. Like he was kicking for the Colts at the time, but he was just in like, you know, Ontario. He's from Oakville, Ontario, and he's just in Canada, and they're filming this, and he's the stunt double kicker. So it's like and he's actually wearing the boot. Like, he's the one wearing the boot. And they're like, if they need me to make a field goal, I'll make the field goal. If they need me to miss it, I'll miss the field goal. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
Dude was ready to go.
He was ready to
I
go.
respect it.
Yes. Now, this was. I can't imagine having to be like the technical kicker on a film.
So there's a scene in the movie where they try to sneak out with curfew,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Right? And like Bubba and his
And they
teammates.
sing the three songs they've licensed for this film.
Yes. So the Wonderful World of Disney had really strict standards, so we had to take it down from PG-13. They had one scene when Danza and his teammates snuck out. They went to a strip club, and then when Tony hits bottom and he passes out drunk at a bar, Bubba says, drinking never solves any problems. We had to put that in, and the way he said it had, you know, a little bit of a wink, but they had to take out them sneaking out to the strip club. So when they're sneaking out, they never say where they went, but
Okay.
they went to a strip club supposedly, and it had to be taken out of the film. It would have been a PG-13 film because they struck out the strip club.
90s were a different time, man.
Yes. The rib scene. They said they were eating some ribs for a scene, and
So gross.
they ate quite a few ribs. I just remember wishing I had a little bit more time to shoot it.
It was so
And so they would do takes. They would do takes after takes after takes, and they needed fresh food for every take.
Oh God,
Just so-
that's so many ribs. That's so much rib.
the person said that there was so many takes for that. He became vegan after that. It was just done.
that doesn't
Just
surprise
done
me
with
at
it.
all.
Doesn't surprise. No, not at all. Which it's ridiculous. They would shoot stuff like in the Sky Dome locker room. And then so like in the scene of the Philadelphia Eagles like stadium that's supposed to be Veteran Stadium, if you look back there, it's not Veteran Stadium, it's the Sky Dome.
Yeah.
Like when they showing the model of it, yeah, it's the actual
100%.
Sky Dome. And you know, the tunnel, whatever, they just put the sign home of the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, it's the Sky Dome. They had no money for extras. They barely had enough for the teams and the refs. So they just basically created this wall.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you never see any shots in the crowd, because it is them basically just in front of 4 people.
So I just want to say, you know, the locker room speech, Tony really put his all into that. He was working. In the end, that final speech about the working class, they're the real heroes. Yeah, that's it. The garbage picking, field goal kicking Philadelphia phenomenon premiered in the 7 p.m. Eastern slot on Sunday, February 15th, 1998, opposite 60 Minutes, the Nagano Winter Olympics,
Oh no!
and a hilarious half-hour The Das Bus episode of The Simpsons.
Oh, that's a really good one too.
Sorry. All three of these programs outdrew the Danza-led made-for-TV movie, which received a rating of 8. So about 8 million, I guess, and a share
No,
of 13, and less.
8 feels so high, but I guess people watched TV in the 90s still.
There was no streaming.
Yeah, I guess so.
You just watched what was on.
Just watch what was on. And then like the reviews were just bad. It's like very young football fans may get a kick out of it. Get it? That's about the level of humor achieved in this unphenomenal Philadelphia story.
This movie is for stupid babies.
I mean, I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, and there isn't a critic score for
No.
the movie, probably because of it came out before Rotten Tomatoes was a thing, and no one's gone back and looked at who reviewed it.
So the movie aired twice on ABC, and then it was on the Disney Channel for a couple of months, but it never came out on DVD. They only put out a VHS, very limited, which you can get this VHS for about $15 on eBay if you want to.
I mean,
I've seen a few of those.
I don't
if you
have a
wanna get
VHS.
that.
I don't have a VHS player anymore. Shit.
Yeah, so it's just ridiculous.
And I did check; it's not on Disney Plus.
No, it's not.
Unfortunately,
It's nowhere. It's literally nowhere.
Well, because they had those 3 songs, they'd have to license them if they wanted to put it on streaming.
You could find a fake. Well, Disney has lots of money. Maybe they pay for those 3 songs. They would not pay for those 3 songs.
shout out to the guy that bootlegged it on YouTube for us.
Several people did that, as we could tell.
They have. There was one that I watched. It was from like New York Jets highlights or something.
Jesus.
Thank you, New York Jets highlights.
Yeah, and like nobody watched. That's the one I watched. That's the one I watched from like New York Jets something. One of the people said that once or twice a year I'll get a check for a whole $5.30 Canadian as royalties for this film. Which I mean, okay.
Hey, that's money.
And then at the end, they're just like, I love the title now. I thought it was totally silly. There's no way they'll ever keep it. And then Tony Danza says it was tough to get the whole thing on the videotape cover. and somebody says maybe someone at Disney reads this and puts it on Disney Plus. So
beautiful.
I don't know. Oh my God, this movie was ridiculous. We'll definitely have to do something.
We gotta watch the Kevin James Saints movie.
Oh God,
I'm not doing that. Not doing it.
I guess it's because I'm trying to think like what's the modern day equivalent of this? Because like
there isn't. People don't make these things anymore.
No, with the B movie has like not the B movie, but the art of the lowercase.
I was going to say the B movie is alive and well on the internet.
No, I know. The art of the B tier movie has died, unfortunately. Much like romantic comedies that have like actual actors and actresses that in them.
Yeah.
These are just movies that have gone away, which sucks, honestly.
Yeah, because like there are some. I mean, I would say that like Kevin James, Sean Payton movie is maybe the same level because that is like a made for Netflix movie, which is kind of the equivalent of TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like. I will say this: it does like this movie did feel very like Hallmark movie in terms of quality.
Yeah,
in terms of like the plot, not necessarily the plot being like a Hallmark movie, but the plot being very like utilitarian. Like we're doing this to connect point A to point B to point C, and so I think that's probably the closest comp. But I mean, given how successful this movie was when it came out, it doesn't shock me that there's not a lot of demand for things like this now. But I mean, again, like I mentioned the movie Eddie earlier, so clearly there was an appetite in the 90s for movies where a fan ends up in sports roles.
Average people wound up in the pros. That's basically the genre of these movies.
I think there's a Mark Wahlberg movie where he ends up like he ends
Invincible?
up in the NFL.
That's another Philadelphia Phillies movie.
Yes,
movie.
Yes, that is another Eagles movie.
I believe that's a real story, though.
Yeah, it's a real story, and it wasn't like he was like a complete nobody. Like I think he had some football experience, like never played in the NFL before.
Yeah,
but they did have open tryouts, I think, and he was the one and he was just like a special teamer, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, what if there was a movie that went at it from a different angle, like from maybe the media side, where it's like someone ends up kind of like just regular people, but suddenly like they're interviewing coaches and going to games and up in the press box, all sorts of things, maybe like on the field for like the post-game celebration. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you could make a movie out of that.
I have found another movie that we might consider. It's called The Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders from 1979. Quote,
Oh, no.
a magazine editor sends his girlfriend undercover to get an inside story on pro football cheerleaders working for the Dallas Cowboys. It's not porn. It's not porn. It's not porn.
I don't believe you.
Not porn. It was a made
Also,
movie.
Even if it's not porn, there is a 0% chance that movie is not wildly misogynist in ways that we haven't seen in 50 years.
There's no way, right? There's no way. Okay, I'll watch it for myself. I'll do it.
I need you to at least scope that out and then tell me if it's going to make me want to break my television or not.
Probably.
I almost guarantee it. Almost guarantee it. Folks, I hope you like the off season as much as we do.
We love the off season. Like I love football season, but I also love the off season because we have more space to just be stupid.
It's freeing. I'll say that. There is just like, okay, well, we have a show. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
No bad ideas.
You want to do? I don't know.
That's why we end up watching. That's why we're going to end up watching Future Sport, because it's 2025, the year of Future Sport.
You want to make salad?
You want to do? You want salad? You want to order pizza? I don't know.
Folks, we will. I will post up the Patreon thing for all the interviews.
You want to watch another Jean-Claude Van Damme movie? I don't know. What do you want to do?
If you can get us all copies of his Pittsburgh hockey one,
sudden death.
The JCVD movie that I want to do, is the one where it's JCVD and Dennis Rodman.
Oh God.
Okay.
Is that streaming?
Yes.
Double team. Okay.
Oh God.
I'm gonna have to head for that. Okay. Cool.
Okay. All right.
We'll figure that out.
Oh Jesus.
Folks, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the other side.
The cover is "They don't play by the rules."